The brewery craze hit over a decade ago across the country, and now there's, I think it's 120, 140 breweries in the state of Indiana. Why there wasn't one yet in Madison, I don't know. And I came here looking to buy a retirement home, actually in this building. It was marketed online as a 3-bedroom home, and I found out it had a 12,000 square foot brewery building attached to it. So then I got kind of this bug to research this building, and lo and behold, figured out that Madison has this incredibly rich brewing history.
There were at least 4 brewing companies here in town pre-Prohibition, and I know the competition back then was a little cutthroat with how they did business, but Madison Brewing Company, they had a real popular Madison ale, and they sold it as far down as Louisiana, which for beer distribution back then was a pretty big deal. We've seen pictures, I know the Grainer building out east of town. That's where Madison Brewing Company was located.
My research indicated that Madison is the 3rd oldest brewing city in the state of Indiana, 1823. And the building we're standing next to, the Cache for Barley, Greiner, Madison Brewing Company building, is the oldest standing brewery building in the state of Indiana, which is pretty cool. And next to here, these 2 buildings that are here, about 12,000 square feet, there used to be 100,000 square feet of buildings on this property. So massive brewery operation. The differences between way back in 1823 when Jacob Salmon had the Jacob Salmon Brewery on this site prior to the Greiner Madison Brewing Company, differences include looking over here at this hill, the water used to come down via a wooden water delivery system over here to his brewery. Underneath the road here, there used to be cold storage caves under the road to keep things cold. There were ice houses and bottling buildings, and so there was a massive amount of things going on here. And if you think about it back then, it wasn't too many years after electricity had been invented and the Model T Fords are sitting out here. So things were a lot more labor intensive and mechanical back then. So now there's a lot more automation in brewing today.
Pre-Prohibition style was mainly, and it's very similar to what you call macro beers today, like your Budweisers, Millers, just straight, good sourced grain, 2-row, 6-row barley. What they did here in the U.S. was they started using adjuncts, which is like corn or rice, Budweiser's rice, Miller's corn. So, and especially around here with the corn production, I would have expected it to have, one style of barley, some corn in it. And then they use locally sourced hops typically for their bittering. But they would buy hops from Europe for flavoring hops because they had better quality hops in Europe.
These were predominantly Germans that relocated from Europe. They brought over their German brewing recipes. Here there was a Madison Double X or Triple X Ale.
This is an unopened bottle from Madison Brewing Company. It's a Triple X Porter. And the Triple X back then, that's what that meant was, the number of X's was how strong the beer was.
This hoppy craze that we have today in craft brewing, that was not happening back then. That is a pretty relatively new phenomenon in really the last 20 years. Back then it was just brew beer as quickly as you can with a decent amount of alcohol in it, and Madison was full of bars back then. I understand that it was just, every other door was a place you could get a beer.
They were quite prosperous up until Prohibition. When some of the companies went into soda production, which is, you can brew soda and equipment like this quite easily, but no, their beer production was their source of revenue and they went under.
The more I researched it and the more I talked to people, the citizens said, we're dying for a microbrewery in Madison. So I decided to come out of retirement along with my brother. We didn't know anything about brewing. We'd never been to the city of Madison until last November, and I was looking to relocate to a town in Indiana where I could kind of pay it forward and give something back and maybe bring something to life that the city would really appreciate.
I've lived in Madison now for 15 years, and we always hear that someone's going to open a brewery. It's hard to explain because it's a great town. The people here like their beer, they like good beer. And we saw an opportunity to go ahead and open one when we did. Now there'll be 2 breweries here.
The rising tide, raises all the boats. So I don't really view other breweries as competition. I view it as helping us bring more tourism to Madison, because if somebody's going to want to come over to see one brewery or one winery, they're going to want to go to more than one that day. We are standing in the old Lamson feed mill. You know, we didn't go with the actual brewery. We chose a feed mill, and that's exciting as well because in the brewing process, there are grains, there are malts, there is barley, and those are the kind of products that used to be in this building. So while this was not the original microbrewery in Madison, we're going to bring the brewing process to life.
We built this building with the idea of expansion. The lot that we own, we can expand further back. This will be the tasting room here, and we'll have all the taps serving out of the wall, coming straight up out of the cellar. Our main goal is to sell our good beer to everybody in town and then outside of there as well.
Our theme is called Greatness Resurrected because this city used to be an incredible brewing town. Citizens here will be excited about, and people from all over the state of Indiana are going to want to drive to.